Oh well, that wasn't so hard. Teleporting to a different space and time than my basement. Wow! Welcome to the WakeUp Show, and by the looks of it, I guess you are awake. Look, I am in Criollo. It's a chocolate bar in the dream. My God, it's a dream come true. And you know what else? I am now a father of four. It's insane. This, last episode, my wife was at the hospital and I was at home waiting for the call to be allowed to go to the hospital to welcome another human into the world. And I waited. You know, on Thursday I waited through the entire episode. It was great fun. And then the Friday I waited. And on Saturday, the phone rang and I got to bike over to the hospital and welcome this new human. And actually, there is a clip of this of me and this wonderful human. Let's run the clip. Let's try to do that.
When I wake each morning, the children running around and screaming. I wanna stay in this place forever. Only love can set you free.
Yes. My son Elliot was born this Saturday, and I got the exquisite pleasure of bringing him into the world because I asked the doula, or what do they call the woman who is the Earth Mother? That sounds great. Well, I got to sort of grab him as he came out into the world and put him onto my wife's chest, and it was beautiful. It was crazy, insane. I got to do that. Welcome a human being into the world. I am very thankful for that opportunity. Enough chit-chatter about me. We're here. Odd Arild, the owner of Criollo, I asked him about a friend of his. He talked about this wonderful guy, and I said maybe we can do it at Criollo, and he said yes. And here we are. So not only do I have one wonderful guest, I have two wonderful guests this episode. And I became a father, and I've started Ramadan, which I have never done before, but it felt right at the time. So I haven't eaten since last sundown. And I hopefully will rectify that with the aid of my trusty friend, Odd Arild. But enough of sitting on the moon. Let's get this party started. Run the intro.
Live from the dream, aka Drummond, it's the WakeUp Show with your host, Ulf Thunder Flittig.
Oh, hello there, and welcome to the dream. Well, the acoustic is a bit different here. It's like this room is 4 times as big as my basement. Who knew? And the chair is super comfortable. It's like got a cushion and everything, you know. I just have a lounge chair that I carry down into the basement. Wow, this is just going upwards. Yeah, and I guess you can help this become even greater. You know, I have 4 children to feed. Maybe you could go to patreon.com/the WakeUp Show, where you can support the show. And aid me in my quest for I don't even know anymore. What is the quest? The quest is to go to San Francisco with the show and continue the journey that I've started on becoming the world's greatest talk show host ever in the history of histories and in any known corner of our universe. Okay. As I said in the intro, I'm doing this Ramadan thing, which is a thing where you fast and don't drink during when the sun is up, and the sun has come down now, and I think that there is a place in the dream, a place where I am at right now actually, which serves the greatest cacao that mankind has ever tasted. It's organic, it's vegan, there's no sugar in it, it's just greatest upon greatest. It's Criollo, and you know, you can go there to the dream and get your fix, and now I will get mine, because Odd Arild, you're come on in and the top notes I can get.
I made your special wake up cacao.
So special. Look at that. Yes. Thank you, man. And you know, if you go to the dream, you can order, well, that camera maybe, yeah, the WakeUp Show special, and get your own special cup of Criollo cacao. Oh my God, that's so delicious. Oh, nice and spicy at the end. I love this, I love this. And if for some strange reason you're not living the dream, then there is ecochocolate.no, where you can order your chocolate supplies from this fine gentleman, and you can make your own beautiful cacao. Okay, that was so good. I almost fainted a bit. Man, that's some great cacao, man. But in addition to having great cacao, Odd Arild also has a great friend, which is, his name is Jørgen, and I've heard some things about him, but let's just bring him into the studio so he can talk for himself. Come into the studio, man.
Well, thank you.
I'm the studio audience. That's how we roll.
Yes.
Jørgen, welcome. It's so great to have you on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And now, as it says on your lower third, you are Jørgen Rasmussen, a martial arts artist. That's the hard word. And a provocative hypnotist.
I've never heard about a martial artist anymore, but I've heard about a martial artist.
Yeah, why is it a martial arts artist? We need to talk to our graphics department to get that sorted out, because art and artists are like two sides of the same thing. Now, who?
It's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
I don't know you at all.
No.
And now we're here, and we can get to know each other.
Yes.
Who are you, man?
I'm pretty good.
You're great?
Yes.
No, who are you? Not what? How are you?
I thought I'd answer the question. That I'm pretty good.
But that's even better.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh. What is the hypnosis thing?
Well, it's...
Let's start there, then.
It's a lot of things. It's pretty much what we all do. So the way, I mean, you call this the WakeUp Show, right?
Yes, I do. That's the name of the show.
Yeah. So I essentially run a WakeUp Show as well, with human beings in the world. Because the way I view it, most people are kind of hypnotized by their own thoughts.
Yes, they are.
Like, most of us tend to believe pretty much everything we think. So it's like walking around in a dream, and there's a lot of pain and suffering that comes with believing pretty much everything that we think. So I view that as hypnosis, essentially, that people are, like, if you look at hypnosis, the ritual, it's essentially one person guiding another person to imagine things and to kind of step into an alternate reality and have it, you know, be as real as real. So when I work with clients, for example, if they're scared of public speaking or fear of flying, you know, they kind of live in a self-suggested reality of doom, and it feels as if they're about to die, or if everybody's about to reject them and stuff like that. So my job is to then kind of help them to de-hypnotize themselves, or wake up from these thoughts and kind of realize that, shit, it's a dream.
You're stuck in a nightmare.
Stuck in a nightmare.
Of the mind.
Yes.
And you snap them out of it.
Well, I often,
aid them in their quest.
Yeah, I often kind of design some experiments for them and things to do to kind of make the discovery that that it is a thought, essentially, that they're experiencing.
Ah, it's just a thought.
It's just a thought. It's just an idea.
What's that? Something that really like hit me hard the first time I heard it was like the mind
people, yeah,
is a terrific servant, horrible master.
Yeah.
And to me, it sort of spoke to the whole, like, because, you know, I was living in the mind.
Right.
Obviously, because the mind was all I thought I ever was.
Right.
And so that controlled everything. All my decisions, everything was sort of grounded in my mind.
Yeah.
And it was pretty horrifying.
No wonder, because it's so outdated.
It is, right?
It's really old. Like the minds that we have, the kind of operating systems that we have probably been around for tens and thousands of years, and it may have been pretty functional, you know, back in the days of caves and tigers and lions, you know, with very specifically defined threats.
Were very physical and very
physical.
Real.
But imagine driving in a city, you know, with a GPS that's offering suggestions, you know, based upon a map that kind of fit the territory 10,000 years ago, but hasn't been updated since. You'd see dangers and threats everywhere that wasn't really relevant. So that's the big challenge. We're walking around with really old operating systems that often haven't quite been updated. I'll give you an interesting example of this.
Give me an example. I like example.
Yeah.
That's good.
I read about the 10 most common causes of death. This was back in 2017. And then I read the 10 most common fears. And there was no correlation, except one, which was germs and bacteria.
Okay, so that one is both imagined and real.
Yes. So back in, I think, 2017, you had tuberculosis and the flu was the 8th most common cause of death in the world. And I can't quite remember on the fear list where it was, but it was in the top 10. But outside of that, there was no correlation whatsoever between what people actually seem to die from and get hurt from and what people fear. So, for example, I've seen people now helping them with fears for like 23 years. And if there's something that we seem to know, it's like sugar is not that good.
Yeah.
Like getting a lot of sugar, it doesn't seem to be good. No. But I've never had one client, I swear, not one, who says, you know what, I'm in the supermarket, I feel completely fine and relaxed, but when I start to approach that Snickers bar, the panic attack comes. and the only thing that stops me from digging my teeth into that Snickers bar is the panic attack. I've never had one client like that, ever. So like, if fear served a protective purpose today in the way it did back in the day, that's when you would have the kind
when
of
someone brought up a bottle of alcohol, you'd be like, oh, whoa.
Right. But when I try to help people stop smoking, they're often scared. They're like, I feel like you're trying to take away my best friend.
Yeah.
So this GPS is often not working that well.
It's an old map.
It
needs an upgrade.
It's a really old map. Yeah. I see people struggle with finding my office because they've built some apartments and a school, so the GPS doesn't quite work. But that's like in the last couple of years. Imagine running around with software that's like tens and thousands of years old.
Yeah, in an ever-changing environment.
Right.
You'd want to actually stay sort of present and up to date,
right,
at any given time, which will give you a lot more options.
Yeah,
than,
good luck with that.
Yeah,
not easy.
That's not easy. It's really hard.
Not easy at all.
It's the human condition, I guess.
Yep.
Wow. Well, I guess when I was living in the mind, I was it was very limiting because there were so many things I couldn't do.
Yeah.
Like my favorite example was I couldn't dance. Because as a child, I was a tall child, and I got this idea that if I danced and didn't dance well, everyone would see how poor of a dancer I was,
right,
and would ridicule me or whatever. Right. So I concluded you should never dance because you'd make a fool out of yourself. And then I had this idea buried in my mind. So anytime people would start talking about dancing, I'd be like, well, I don't dance. No, that's not for me. Until my son, he was at this dance school, and my wife was at this dance school, and she was pregnant. This is not the 4th child, this was the 3rd child. And he said, well, Mom can't dance anymore, so it's your turn to dance. And I was like, but I can't. And I really had to sort of question that. And then I showed up to this hip hop dance recital, and I was scared shitless because, you know, that's
right.
I can't do this. And I froze, and it was horrible. And I was like, I'm never going back there. But then I sort of realized, what is this fear really about, and what are you so afraid of? And you know, once you start sort of unwrapping this gift of fear, you find that there is mostly just air and ideas and concepts which really aren't that dangerous. Like, for instance, my great epiphany was like the moment you look up and look at the other people, you notice that nobody's looking at each other when they're dancing because they're so afraid of people looking at them. You're in your own space, so it doesn't really matter, and actually dance like nobody's watching is the best way to dance, because
when I used to teach self-defense classes, you know, we used to shadow box. You know, shadow boxing like you do in Thai boxing, boxing, kickboxing.
Well, you know, I'm not too familiar with that,
but you know, you just kind of pretend that you have an opponent, and you kind of bob and weave, and you punch him. And when you get new people to do it, you know, most of them kind of look around and they feel silly. But I always used to tell them, look, if you wonder if you look like an idiot, the answer is yes, you do. But the good news is, so does everybody else.
Right.
And that kind of cancels out the whole thing, and it's fine. But if you really look at that fear thing, you know, it made sense. So, for example, almost everyone has ideas of not being enough, or not being lovable, or not being worthy, or being defective in some way. These thoughts appear to almost everyone, right? I can promise you this based upon seeing clients. Now, if you run the clock back a few thousand years when we lived in small tribes and clans, like if you got ostracized by the alphas in the group, and they suddenly discover that, you know, this guy Ulf sucks, you know, we better get rid of him, that meant death, probably, because you're back in the day. Because if the group then says, out of the herd, you know, you're out of the herd, you know, that probably meant death. And that was the reality for our ancestors for like almost ever. But today, if some group or some person or some company somewhere decides, does that equal death? No, I mean, it's not a problem at all. You know, but I think that the reason these type of thoughts so often appear is because, like, back in the hood, back in the day, that kind of was a valid fear. So it's this old GPS that hasn't been updated that throws out these alarms of maybe you're not enough, and you look silly, and essentially you'll get killed socially, but you won't. So it's just another one of these ideas that maybe used to make sense at a particular time, but they don't anymore. But really has no function anymore. Yeah.
Illusions. Almost.
So people think that they have to, you know, when these thoughts, illusions, when these thoughts of not being enough and not being lovable appear to people, that's not a problem. The only way it looks like a problem is that people think that, oh, this is my thoughts. It says something unique about me. You know, I have to fix myself somehow and get better. And this is the illusion. But if you can realize that, wait a minute, this is completely impersonal. It's an old GPS that appears to almost everyone from time to time. Then these sorts of thoughts can come and go without you necessarily needing to have any stress around it whatsoever. And it starts to lose its grip.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you know, we take our thoughts so personally and we build our personality around them.
Yeah.
And then we become our thoughts.
Or at least it looks that way.
Yeah. Seemingly it becomes like a shell.
But that's the illusion. You know, you could call them the old classics. So when I see people in my office, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, you know, I'm defective, I need approval, I have to succeed, you know, the world has to be a fair place. You know, these sorts of, you know, I have to be in control.
Yes.
I mean, these thoughts appear to almost everyone. There's nothing personal about them. They're like old classics. So when I ask clients, for example, you know, are these your thoughts? They always say yes. But the reality is that these thoughts are way older than the clients. I mean, they're just thoughts.
It's like a spinning wheel that's been spinning for 10,000s of years.
Yes.
With these words on them. And then you're like spinning it. Oh, that's me. Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
And we're crazy enough to take credit for them.
Yeah.
And sign on to them and say, oh my God, this is me. And now I need to be fixed. That's the craziness.
That is crazy.
That is really crazy.
Wow.
And that's back to the wake-up show. I mean, the type of wake-up show that I do. So I view my job as kind of helping people to wake up from that and to see it for what it is. Because it's a really painful place to live.
That's where all the suffering is, isn't it?
Yes, and you don't...
In Buddhist terms, at least.
Yeah, you don't really have to live there.
No. You know, and as I do have a wake-up show, which is this show, that's... What I found is that what I can do is to be me as much as possible and let go of these mind games and show through example that is actually worthwhile. Because that's where the joy is, that's where the fun is, that's where you can all of a sudden end up in a cacao bar talking to a wonderful guy about the mind while drinking delicious cacao. Right. Are you a cacao guy, by the way?
No, not at all.
It's interesting. You know, when I wonder about things like, are you cacao or coffee or tea? What type of person are you? What I do, I walk out into the dream and I ask my fellow dreamers. I was wondering, coffee, tea, or cacao? What do you prefer?
Coffee.
I guess that's what you have in your cups then. Think's okay, Mark?
Yes.
I think so.
Well, I like tea as well. English tea.
Camera didn't start recording for
Coffee.
Why?
I don't know. If you would have asked me like 2 years ago, I would say tea.
Coffee, tea, or cacao? What's your favorite?
No, I'm not drink because
you don't drink any of them?
Now is Ramadan.
I like coffee man without caffeine.
Oh, the decaf one, right?
Yeah, decaffeinated.
Oh, yes,
I like
yes.
But sometimes if it depends upon the weather, I like cacao also. Especially in winter.
Coffee.
Why?
It smells good.
The smell.
It wakes you up. I started drinking good coffee. Not like the one you buy in the regular shops, but if you go and buy proper coffee and you brew it, you hand brew it, then coffee.
There's some passion involved.
Yeah.
If I don't drink coffee, it seems the day is not complete.
Oh, but that is important. It's incomplete.
Yeah. So if I drink coffee once in a day, but I drink coffee once
every day.
Every morning.
It's a ritual.
I think so.
How about cacao? Why no?
No, it's too sweet.
Too sweet. How about the unsweetened one? Have you ever tried that?
What?
You know, unsweetened. Now we're going out of the segment. Like the natives of South America drink it.
That's no good. I shouldn't think that's any good. Might just drop it.
Well, I guess she hasn't been to Criollo and had a wonderful cup of cacao, which is not too sweet, but just perfect, with a hint of chili or something. I guess that's the wake-up show special, you know. So you should drop by to Criollo in the dream. But back to my wonderful guest over here. Are you a coffee, tea, or cacao guy? I know you're not cacao because that was sort of it became apparent prior to the segment.
Yeah, that kind of leaves too. I prefer tea. I've never actually had a cup of coffee.
You never had a cup of coffee?
No. I think I tried once at age 14 or something and didn't like it, and then didn't do that period of training myself to like it for some reason.
You know, I never did as well.
Bit like cigarettes. You know, you try it once and it kind of sucks, and I wasn't committed enough to.
No, me neither. Never cigarettes and never coffee.
No.
So welcome to the non-coffee club. But I guess this wonderful place, Criollo, what do you guys serve? You serve coffee and obviously cacao, also tea.
Coffee, tea, and cacao.
That's no problem. So maybe your friend and guest can have a cup of tea, and you can come join us, Odd Arild, because it's your place after all. That'd be so great. When can we have like a studio audience? That'd be so cool. Look at this.
And maybe some small pieces of chocolate for you guys.
Yes, small pieces of chocolate. That sounds pretty awesome.
Please use the tool for germ reasons.
So there's a dark one, and I'll go with the.
That's roasted almond white chocolate.
Nice. You're living the dream, man, and welcome to your place in this show.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Wake Up Show again. And you know, what are you? Coffee, tea, or cacao guy?
I was like you guys until I started here, actually. But now I said that out loud that I'm running a coffee shop and actually don't like coffee that much. But now I do, actually. I started
That's the thing you needed to start liking coffee, was making your own coffee.
Yeah, because we bought this, really, really expensive coffee machine to make the espresso. And we had to taste, to make the best coffee and taste that it's not bitter and that it's perfect made. So the coffee guy got here and taste that. It's a bit bitter. We now need to adjust some. And bitter. Oh, not good. Quite nice actually. So I guess that was my get used to coffee experience.
So you got used to coffee as an adult.
Yeah.
You didn't do the sort of rite of teenage passage that we tried and failed miserably.
Right. Yeah. I tried. I worked night shifts in the psychiatry for a couple of years. Tried to drink coffee then. I failed.
It didn't take.
Right.
But that was psychiatry coffee. This is the best coffee there is. So maybe that's
for future reference. Maybe we should try a cup of coffee at Criollo.
Yeah.
It sounds like he has like the dream machine to make delicious.
One cup of coffee and a few pieces of chocolate each day.
The almond one was really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't eaten all day.
I can serve you anything.
No, but it's really nice and not too sweet. But you don't use sugar to sweeten your products. What do you use, man?
No refined sugar. We use coconut sugar, coconut syrup, yacon syrup.
Yes.
Agave syrup. And dates, a lot of dates in the cakes.
Dates are really good.
You should not underestimate the power of the dates.
But you guys are friends.
Yeah, I met Jørgen 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago, I think.
Yeah. But you were doing your mind. Waking up mind thing.
Yes.
Back then as well. Is that how you guys met?
Actually, I met Jørgen as a client.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Was it your fear of starting up a cacao place?
No, that was distant in the future back then.
That's a long time ago.
And actually, I was one of the few guys he didn't get the results with. But I was really impressed, even though
because you are now friends.
Results. So I got to train with him a bit and learn some stuff, and have been really interested ever since in what he's doing.
I used to have like a no change, no pay guarantee. So he was one of the people I had to pay back. It's a nice way to kind of force yourself to get better.
It is,
if you have that. It's a good way to go broke, to kind of have that deal. But you're kind of forced to learn. But we became friends, very good friends, and Yeah, so something good came out of it.
Right, because that's what I typically find is if you're thinking the only result out of this situation is what I want out of the situation. So if there's something else, then I'm not interested. So like, for instance, if you went to Jørgen and was like, the only thing I want out of this is to be cured of whatever fear I am struggling with, but you got a friendship instead, which is like, what a gift.
Yeah.
Because friendships, that's divine stuff.
It was life-changing anyway.
Yeah.
But in other ways that I was planned.
Yeah. Can't always get what you want, get what you need.
Get what you get.
Well, I think that's more accurate. You just get what you get.
Yeah.
You get what you get. But I mean, the fact that we have this conversation now might be a necessary chain in the sequence of events that leads to World War III in 2034.
No. Pretty sure it says here world peace.
Oh, world peace.
Yeah.
That's what you were shooting for.
In 2035.
Right.
Doesn't say anything about the war, though, so that might still be the case.
But it's so bizarre to contemplate that we really, like, let's say that he tells some sort of story that makes it so that we leave here 1 minute later than we would otherwise have done.
Yeah, it would change the whole story. Yeah.
The whole world. And as a result, you end up behind a car on the freeway, which then the car behind you ends up in a car accident 45 minutes later. And then as a result of that, you know, there's serious injuries, and there's this surgeon at the hospital here who gets called in, but his wife has kind of said, you know, you need to prioritize our marriage.
Yeah, and now he prioritizes work
otherwise, again.
Damn it.
But his conscience drives him to the hospital to save a life. But
he loses a marriage.
But he loses his marriage, and then as a result of that, the wife and the kids move to a different part of town. And hadn't it been for that, the older kid wouldn't have gotten in trouble with that gang, which then tries to rob the guy at the Indian store around the corner in 2.5 years. And it's all due to you telling that story now in 2021. It could have had a positive spin as well, of course, but the point being, we have no way of predicting the kind of future consequences of what we do. And that takes some load off if you kind of realize that, you know, hadn't your grandmother been at the pharmacy, you know, that day back in 1946, you know, this conversation wouldn't have been taking place.
No, it wouldn't.
How could she have known that because she had the flu that day and went to the pharmacy, that hadn't it been for that in 1946, this TV show in 2021 would not have taken place? It's just freaky to contemplate.
It takes a lot of planning to make that sort of level out.
Well, who could plan such a thing?
And who could plan such a thing, right?
Right.
It would be insane.
Just spontaneous anarchy, essentially.
What I like when you tell a story is there's something about when we humans imagine things, we typically imagine disasters and horrible things happening. I was contemplating this the other day, was that it's so interesting because, you know, children have something we like to call imagination.
Right.
They imagine things like wonderful, grandiose things out of this world. No limitations. We adults, we've transformed imagination into worrying, and in a broader term, into fear. And it's like, but why? What changed? Because, okay, so when I was 10 years old, I didn't have 4 kids and a mortgage and a talk show. But why on earth would I want to use my creative powers into worrying about these scenarios? And like you said earlier on, most of those scenarios don't even pan out the way we fear, because the things that destroy us are something completely different. So like spending all our time worrying about something that never happens. That seems very counterproductive.
It's definitely worth waking up from.
It is, right?
Yeah. But you know, looking at it differently, we are the descendants, probably, of people who worried. Because if this was...
They did worry a lot.
Yeah, because if this was 30,000 years ago or 70,000 years ago on the savannah in Africa, and there was some sound in the grass, you know, could be a predator, could be just the wind. If we responded immediately and it's nothing, we're safe. But if we respond immediately and there's a predator, at least we have as much of a head start that we could have. But if we were to stop and think, and it's just the wind, we're safe. But if we stop and think then, and it's the predator, we're toast or lunch. So we are the descendants probably of people where just responding as if there's a threat gave you the best chances of survival. Yeah. But now, with spouses and restaurants to, you know, and TV shows and all sorts of stuff, you're swimming upstreams because now your chances of living well are a lot better if you don't engage in that stuff so much.
So it's flipped.
Because you miss out on life. So we're swimming upstream, and we have to learn to update our operating systems a little bit. And the crazy thing is, if you look at school, formal education, right, 100% of your attention is directed towards the external world, and there's almost nothing inwards. Like, I can't remember having any classes on waking up from the spell of thought, or understanding anger, or dealing with conflict, or anything. And then you get released into the world, and shit happens, and your wife leaves you, and you know, your company goes bankrupt or whatever, and we freak out.
Yeah, we do.
And then we get told that we're sick and we need to be drugged.
Yes, now all of us are potentially. Yes. There's a plague going on. Yeah. And there's something about when you pull these broader lines into play, because as you know, I'm doing this Ramadan thing, which seems somewhat intertwined into this religious thing called Islam, which is fairly old, and it comes in sort of like a wave of this, shall we say, sort of an awakening happening a couple thousands of years ago into sort of like a switch from this tribal community where it's just us, into sort of like looking at, sort of trying to look at the bigger picture and try to imagine the biggest picture you can ever imagine. It's like, what's this place all about? And then trying to make sense of it. And then it seems they try to put some ground rules in and like make the world safer through faith. I'm sort of like curious, where are you guys when it comes to this faith business?
Well, I think Islam and Christianity, but Christianity has had some more updates. I think Islam as well is one of those old GPSs that really needs an update.
Yeah, they're old systems.
Yeah, you know, like if you look at the Quran, it's essentially a wife-beating manual, you know, and you know.
I guess you can also beat your wife with it if you.
Yeah,
really
yeah. And
yes.
apostates should be killed, and you know, all sorts of crazy ideas. So yeah, I'm not a big fan.
No. How about you, Odd Arild? What are your feelings with faith?
With faith,
you can pull that any direction you want.
Yeah, I like the distinction that Alan Watts makes between faith and belief. That, you know, if you really have faith, you don't need to believe in anything.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, you just have faith to whatever happens, and that's perfect.
You can really know that it's okay to beat your wife. You don't have to believe it. You can just know that if she protests, you can just smack her around, and you can feel with every cell of your body that it's okay.
Jørgen hasn't heard that much on Alan Watts. You
haven't been listening to Mr. Watts?
Not so much.
You know, Alan Watts melted my mind back in the day from a very, shall we say, atheistic physical reality type of person and into a more, shall we say, open-minded person, which has been somewhat of a gift, and I'm very thankful to Mr. Alan Wood's post-mortem giving me the pleasure of experiencing sort of falling out of the box that I've sort of nailed myself into, and obviously that's why I'm now sort of like daring to venture into these constructs that we have in our societies, and we have these huge religious constructs that's very seems to be like the very foundation that very many people sort of base their lives upon. And I'm like, what is this thing? Because growing up, that meant nothing to me, and I thought like, well, I guess because anything can be whatever anyways, I might as well sort of just throw myself into it and see what it feels like. And I started reading the Quran, and it's what I found to be very interesting, because I just started reading it because I read somewhere you can read the Quran through the Ramadan, and that's sort of like a neat experience. But it says like in the beginning, sort of like that, you know, there are prophets, and the prophets will evolve humanity because they will come with new insights. But then it says, but the prophecy stops here, which I found to be so strange, because it must be really hard being a prophet post-Jesus, post-Muhammad, because we're like, no, Jesus came, that's the end of the line. Muhammad came, no, there is nothing more until the end of the line, which is sort of like the what's it called, the end of the world prophecies, which all religions sort of...
But Jesus is supposed to come back, isn't he?
Yes, but that is Judgment Day.
Yeah, okay. And no one will believe him or her anyway.
Yeah, that's what I find so interesting, is that it seems to me that we're so caught up in these dogmas of these old ideas that if someone else, like if Jesus literally came into this room right now and says, I am the way, the light, and whatever it was he actually said, and then maybe he would say it in Hebrew and we wouldn't understand anything anyways, but would anyone really listen? Because... Well,
it's pretty predictable. Jesus would end up in psychiatric care.
He would, right?
Really quickly.
With the other Jesuses.
Yes, yes. I mean, how on earth could they tell them apart?
Yeah.
You know, that's... There used to be a guy called Thomas Sauce. He used to say, you know, whether you're deemed crazy or not depends on, you know, how many people kind of share your hallucinations.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so what's acceptable? So he gave the example that, you know, if you go to church and you pray to God, you're a good Christian. But if God suddenly begins to talk to you during the business meeting, you know, you have schizophrenia.
Yeah. So make sure you're in the church when he speaks to you.
Make sure you know, and if you're part of an organized religion, you can talk about, you know, virgin births and rising from the dead and all these things, and you can demand respect for your faith because there are so many other people who share the hallucination. But
power in numbers.
But if you were a lone individual and you just said something kind of similar without that social backing, you know, off to psychiatry you go. Yeah. So that's a big. But I agree with you. And you know, even in science today, they will acknowledge that, you know, the whole hard, you know, mind-body thing has not been solved. The hard problem of consciousness, meaning, is consciousness the result of neural activity, or is perhaps consciousness primary, meaning that the cosmos and brains, you know, are the activity of consciousness, you know?
I like that.
Who knows? So in terms of religion, I think that if you want to take it seriously, the ultimate blasphemy then would be to claim that God, and I don't believe in God, right? But that would be to claim that God is something separate from you. Like, if you really take it seriously, you know, you have to be God. Yeah. Like you have to essentially be the nothingness that all of this emerges out of, and the character in the chair, and the chocolates, and Odd, and me, Like you're the whole shebang. That's essentially what these religions are pointing to.
They are. That's true.
And then you have all this dogma and all these crazy beliefs about beating your wife and that type of stuff. But
yeah, obviously some of it's fairly sort of dated because this is from a different time and place. I'm going to play a song now because it's a talk show, and then the talk show will have a studio band, and I'm the studio band, and I have the guitar here. And I'm going to play a song which I like, because that's the best way to play any song, is it not? And this song, I like to imagine this song is... I'm
excited about this smooth transition you're going to make now to the song.
Was it a smooth transition?
No, I'm waiting for the...
Oh yeah, you're waiting for it. Oh my God, now the expectations way too well. It's a nice guitar, right?
Yeah.
Take a chocolate.
Take a chocolate. No, this song, and I try when I listen to music to find if there is this structure where you can find that it's the soul speaking to the mind. And then I find that there are some pretty profound and cool messages. If you stop looking at it very dualistically, like man, woman, but looking like at yourself as this physical and metaphysical being. I'll play the song. It's much more fun.
Is that a bit like the eye and the me keeping each other company? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah. Nice song, and it's like a techno song from the 90s.
I think you got better on the guitar.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I feel that I've improved somewhat. Thank you.
I felt I was back to the 60s.
So the song is from 1990 something, and it's like from the Euro techno days. But it's something I like the texture of this dance that we're doing with ourselves. And then there is this liberation through love, which I really fallen in love with that idea. I think it's a solid framework of reality, which is what I like to call, you maybe noticed when you look up at the night sky that there is mostly black. And then there are some stars and planets and stuff, which the planets are really hard to see, except the closest one. And what's all this dark stuff? And it's love.
I have no clue.
No, it's love. You're just swimming in love.
I have no idea. It's way above my pay grade.
Right?
I'm not smart enough to...
But we like to look at things very physically, right? So we want to dissect it and see what's inside of it and how does it work. But the thing is that the black matter that we float around in, it's just love. Or I like that perspective, because then you are always sort of where you're meant to be, because you are floating in the good stuff, as opposed to it being just a dark void of nothingness that will eat you alive if you're so dumb to go out into space without a spacesuit, because you'll be dead.
At least we're really, it's easy to overlook the obvious, like all the air, all the nothingness.
Yeah.
But we oversee that it's equally important than the stuff.
Yeah, because
there wouldn't be any
nothing,
stuff without nothing. Air.
Although you'd probably, I mean, your physical body at least would freeze to death instantly if you were thrown into one of those black voids. Probably.
Yes. Yes, my physical body would not sustain very long in the void.
How loving is that? I have no idea.
Well, I guess that's I like what you said about this whole, we typically look at reality like our consciousness is sort of inside of our mind or inside of our physical body, but like when you flip it and say like, but our reality is inside of consciousness, then the thing that sort of is the thing, which we are, is greatly bigger than what we're experiencing, and thus we're always good.
Yes.
Because I believe I had this term once, which I liked, which is, this place is unfuck-upable. But we're so afraid of fucking things up that we live our lives accordingly, thus preventing us from enjoying life, because we're so afraid of messing things up. What if I didn't make the mortgage in time, or what if I'm too late for the bus, or all these what ifs. But like you said, anything will and can happen, and trying to control these outcomes is an impossible exercise, because there's 8 billion people and birds and plants and tide water and wind affecting everything constantly. So what can you do other than just sort of like surrender to the fact that you're here?
And that's the only place to be.
Yeah.
Now.
At Criollo.
Yeah, at least for us.
It serves the great cacao. You can put the small logo down on the side, because then it looks really Criollo, the place for great cacao.
And back
or tea or coffee, actually, I've heard.
I mean, it's a more pleasant perspective, at least, than the materialistic, you're just a robot perspective, or the heaven and hell perspective.
Right.
I mean, it's like Tony Blair used to say, it's like a third way.
Yeah, the third way.
The third way.
The third way. And for all intents and purposes, we are in hell. Like, literally, because we are being really cool. No, not obviously this is the dream. Even though I'm this
commercially just
murder the commercial. No, but humanity is currently in a state of hell, because we're so sort of afraid of being in the wrong place.
Are we though in hell?
No, but hell is just a state of mind, right?
Oh.
Or at least in my perspective, because if you're in the place you don't want to be, you don't want to be there regardless of what it is. Thus you are in hell. Whereas heaven is merely the place where you want to be. And I find that through exercise you can just learn to appreciate being where you are.
Yeah.
Thus you are always in this mythological heaven, regardless of how atrocious or horrible or locked down or...
I think that's an interesting perspective on Christianity, that if you realize that this moment is all there is, maybe that is the living on forever, heaven after death, and that burning in hell for all eternity can just be not realizing that and thinking about the future or the past all the time.
I like that. That's a pretty interesting perspective on Christianity.
And people misunderstand and wait till after they
take it very literally.
Yes. And they don't realize it until after or maybe just the split second before.
Yeah, like, oh shit,
that's what I meant.
Well, you're flushing into eternity. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go to the Ramadan thing. Oh, we're there on time. Let's quickly, because I'm doing the Ramadan thing. I'm trying to get into the Ramadan thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
I went into the dream, and I asked my fellow dreamers about Ramadan. What do you know about Ramadan?
Oh, I know that it's for Muslims.
Yes, for the Muslims.
Ramadan is the Muslim celebration, religious celebration, I think.
Ramadan, because this is especially for my religion.
Yes.
Yeah, because my religion you want like this. I do like this because anybody is Muslim. When your body is good, you can do Ramadan.
It's a religious activity in the Muslim country, I think.
Yeah. Do you know anything more about it? What it is or consists of?
No, sorry.
Faste.
A fast? Yeah.
Fast.
It's I don't know how you say it in English. Faste.
Fast.
Like they don't. Yeah, fast. That's easy. Kurutina coming.
Or they can't eat now at this time of the day anyway.
Oh yeah, when the sun is up, no eating.
Or pray, fast, pray.
The prayer, yeah.
Pray,
yeah.
Not so much.
Would you ever consider participating in Ramadan?
No. Why should I?
No. I don't think so.
Have you ever tried fasting?
When I was younger.
Yeah?
But not so often.
Not so often. Now, is that something you'd want to participate in?
I don't have, no, no.
Have you ever tried fasting?
No. No. I like food.
The food is very good. Is that something you'd want to participate in?
No, not as of now, but I don't know if you got a friend and they're doing it and they want to teach you what it's about, I wouldn't be a stranger to it.
That's a nice approach. I like that.
Yeah, because that's how you learn culture.
And it's 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days.
It's very nice.
It's nice.
Yes.
Because I don't do anything bad. I'm not talking bad. I'm not shout with anybody.
Yeah. You
like be quiet.
That's very nice.
And I respect to myself. I respect to anybody like this.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's good. Of course.
Yeah. Ramadan. Is that how they say it? I wonder. Ramadan?
Well, you're the Muslim here.
Well, I am not a Muslim, nor am I a Christian. I am Ulf Thunder Flittig, a talk show host. Yeah. Or father of four, I guess the lower third says, right? Yeah, Ulf Thunder Flittig, father of four. Yeah, it says on the screen, it's true. That's how the world works. Now, I don't know why, but for some strange reason, I sort of realized that it's Ramadan, and I was like, I should try it. Because I have Muslim acquaintances, and it was like the best way to get to know them would be through some of their traditions. Like if you want to hang out with an Italian family, you'd want to go to their gatherings, right, and eat their delicious foods and sort of see what's up. And from what I can tell, Ramadan is 30 days of not eating during the day, but breaking the fast in the evening and sort of rejoicing and celebrating and being thankful to have food. And sort of not eating is to sort of acknowledge that there are actually people not getting any food. And what does that feel like? And there is this covenant, I guess, and there are these 5 pillars whom all Muslims should sort of adhere to, that's one of them. But thing was, I was planning to actually break fast with my Muslim friend Firat, but due to the plague, he had to make sure his tests came back negative, and that took forever. So I had to break fast with my wife, which is obviously equally great. But I'll get back to that in a moment. I was wondering about you guys. Would you ever consider doing the Ramadan thing?
I consider go out in public and just gorge on the most amazing food in public and see what type of spiritual responses that might evoke in people. Oh my God, that would be interesting. That's how you get to know people. You get to know people by challenging their beliefs and their map of the world. And
because you are the waker-upper guy.
Yeah, then you see. So if it's a spiritual, if it's about love, if it's about, well, let's do that, and then see what happens.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
But I guess you kind of challenging your own beliefs in doing this. Or
yes, that was what I found personally. Was like, you know, the first half of my life, I was so sure how this thing worked, and it was merely a physical construct. And then the thing collapsed with the great help of Alan Watts and some weed. I'll confess, but then again, on the spiritual journey, you might get some help from plants or friends or the silence of
some plants or dead people or.
Yeah, whatever gets you running. And then I realized, but I don't really know anything for sure. And could I actually walk into the world with an open, well, I guess I'd say an open mind, but actually what I would mean would be with an open heart. And I think a couple of years back I called it the Great Acceptance Journey. Could I sort of just accept anyone, anything, into sort of my loving heart? That doesn't mean that I condone their actions, but sort of like, can I sort of look at it from a bigger perspective, or sort of seeing the humanity or sort of empathy? Or I really liked the late Ram Dass has this beautiful saying where it says, like, when you walk in the forest and you see the trees, you're not talking about like, this tree grew that way and that's a bit crooked, look how ugly that tree is. You don't judge the trees. You just sort of appreciate and
made a mistake.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, it would be. And you're sort of just appreciating the fact that they grew for a reason, because that's how things were. But when we look at humans, we do the opposite. We're like, well, you're a horrible person. And it's like, with no regard of their story. And I'm like, well, with the Ramadan thing, I think like, well, these are stories that go back like many generations. And can I sit with that? Can I sort of be at peace with that? And I found that to be quite like, I don't know, eye-opening for me at least.
The thing where the materialistic worldview kind of collapsed a bit for me after a while is I realized just how much faith we put in. Like, we are essentially taught, you know, our culture, that consciousness or our experience of being is somehow the product of dead matter.
Yeah.
Like how does dead matter somehow generate the experience of conscious experience? So we're being told essentially that the one thing that we actually experience and can be sure of, consciousness being itself, is either non-existent or some sort of user illusion, and that the thing that we actually never experience, matter, per definition, outside of consciousness, which we never actually experience, is the only thing that's real. And there's something about that just sounds profoundly insane.
That is profoundly insane.
Profoundly insane. And to believe, I mean, I don't know how things work. I don't know. But what I kind of realize is that, man, that's to be a materialist, you really have to take a huge leap of faith. I mean, I can criticize the religious folks, you know, but we can also look at the kind of atheistic or materialistic worldview and also say, damn, there's like some people say, we'll grant you the one miracle that then allows you to explain the rest. So there's a huge leap of faith in that.
I guess, like, no matter how you turn this experience of life, faith will you will sort of bump into the mirror at one point in the journey, because it's just at one point, like, for instance, scientifically, right? So you have the Big Bang, okay, we can sort of explain everything from the Big Bang and up until now, but what before the Big Bang, okay, so, and then we can make all sort of assumptions and ideas about it. It's just like religion has done the exact same thing. But at the end of the line, it's unknowable in a sense. But then again, at least if you dare to sort of look inside and maybe challenge the belief that your consciousness is the byproduct of your mind, and turn it upside down, you see that you are sort of sitting on the actual answers to your own existence, because you are here. Then why on earth are you? What's all this fuss about? You are here.
We are the Big Bang.
The answer. Yeah. You are the answer to your questions. Why are you walking around like pretending like no? There's someone else going to bring the answer.
So then, I mean, any kid watching this who goes to school, you know, who gets taught Christianity or Islam or whatever, you know, should then ask the teacher, well, wouldn't then the ultimate example of blasphemy be thinking that you are a separate being, then separate from God? I mean, you have to then be God, essentially. Anything else would have to be the blasphemy, per definition.
And I guess that's what history has sort of like. It's fun when you look at like the bigger picture. It's like, so there are these things that come into play, and now we're here, and all this has sort of been arranged for us, which I like to think, because it's not against it, it's for us. So I mean, I for one will be very grateful that I can get to experience a reality where we can question these things, we can play with them without getting our heads chopped off or being persecuted in some way, shape or form. Or maybe I was mistaken.
Yeah, you told me. Someone.
But it's I realize that it's so much to be thankful for if you dare to let go of fear and sort of
take the path of least resistance.
Yes, sir. That's sort of
There's always resistance if you search for it.
Yes. And you know, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I feel like the core thing of the Jedi Order is confronting fear. And that is sort of like where the path lays. It's not avoiding it. The path of least resistance isn't avoiding your fears, it's confronting them. Finding out that they're just
illusions.
Illusions. My God, that's pretty good. That is pretty good.
Yeah. Resistance is to, as you say, to avoid them and to think it's...
I don't want that stuff. Like, no. And then it's so wonderful that there are people who help other people realize that, and people who serve great cacao or make shows.
Yeah, and you know, while drinking cacao, you also see that, you know, problems fade away. There's nothing else in the world that matters than your cup of cacao.
Although we could acknowledge that the materialistic worldview has...
Don't spoil that moment now.
Nothing's possible.
Okay.
Add to it.
The electricity, you know. All of this has kind of emerged from the materialistic model.
Yes.
There's something to be appreciative of that as well.
But And I guess that's at the end of the day, it's like the appreciation, not the exclusion, like I'm only going to appreciate beautiful plants. You can also appreciate the iPhone. But there's balance to the whole thing. Because the moment you're only looking at plants on your iPhone, you're sort of missing the fun of nature, for instance. Or if you refuse to take a picture of the plant because the phone is the utter evil of human constructs.
There is something fascinating about these kids who write that capitalism sucks on their iPhones. Yeah. Stuff like that. There's something about that.
There is some. That is
a little bit humorous.
We're gonna run a clip now because I've made a clip and I'm gonna run it, and it's a clip of me not having eaten and it's my Ramadan experience. Yeah, run the clip. Cool. So, you know, I decided to explore Ramadan, and I talked with my friend Firat. Yes, I talked with my friend Firat, and he was to help me, but due to the plague, he needs to get some test results before we can meet. So this is like the second day of Ramadan, and it's after sundown. So I think it's time we have a meal. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Do you want some food, Anna?
Yeah.
Then I will make 2 of these delicious burritos. Yes. Oh. Are you hungry, little man? So I'm just getting prepared. No! Cheese got stuck to the... Oh man, didn't think this through. So I haven't eaten or drank anything. Actually, the drinking part, because that's new. You know, I've been fasting before. So I haven't been drinking since last night. Then I had 2 glasses of sparkling water. I think I could have maybe drink some more. And so from Taco Tuesday, I prepared. There was some extra cheese there. There's one for you and one for me. And eat it in the oven, that's better, right? Look at you, a professional photographer over there. I like that. I feel somewhat drunk. But I guess, well, so it's 30 days. Also, I was going to read a bit of the Quran every day. I have not started with that yet. But well, better late than never. It's maybe later tonight. I will try. I will do my best. You know, there's still a part of me that's like thinking, I could do this for a couple more days. But I think that's a horrible... I mean, if the Muslim community over the couple of thousand years, sort of through trial and error, or I don't know, because I haven't been able to sit down with my man Firat as of yet, but I'll trust the process. And also, I have to say, food smells kind of delicious right now. Arranged to have some sparkling water to drink, you know, treat myself. Something inspiring about trying these different traditions. Curiosity killed the cat, that's the phrase, right? Mm-hmm. It's a vegetarian burrito. It's leftovers, and you know I love finishing the leftovers, so nothing goes to waste.
You do.
It brings me great pleasure. My mom would be so proud. Oh, It's hot. Didn't think of that. I'm very grateful for this meal, this family. Yeah, so that was my second day of fasting, and this is the third one. And I have to say, if you are doing the Ramadan thing, I suggest going to Criollo and getting your cacao and maybe some delicious chocolates for the for the breaking of the fast after sundown. Even though I guess you're closed by then, so maybe you should go early in the day and buy it, and then sort of have it for later on. Or it's so good that you might even consider breaking your fast. Actually, oh my God, that's crazy. Well, I feel like we sort of ended on a really good note. Obviously, I have 27 days left of my fast, so that's an experience still to be sort of had, and obviously I will make ULF experiences out of my venturing into the Muslim community to see what they are actually. How their traditions are, and I did start reading the Quran, well, we'll see. We'll see, and you get to see it as well. And if you want to become a patron, you get the full ULF experience. You go to patreon.com/the WakeUp Show, and I think tomorrow actually we'll be releasing the episode where I have my communion. Didn't we make a clip out of that? Short one. Like we'll run the short clip, you can see what that's about.
Dette Jesu legeme. Dette Jesu blod.
Yeah, so that's the ULF experience, and now obviously I'm having the ULF experience 24/7, and we need to wrap this thing up because you have a train to catch back to Kingsburg, where you reside, and if for some strange reason you want to get woken up on a one-to-one level, where do you go to, my man?
You go to tilstandstrening.com or provocativehypnosis.com.
Provocativehypnosis.com, I like that.
That's my website.
That's cool. Yeah, so you can check that out.
It's the title of my book, the first one.
You wrote a book, that's true.
Yeah, I wrote 2 books.
I'm looking forward to reading that book. Where can I get your book?
I'll send it to you.
Well, that's pretty nice. If you're not me, but you are a fellow dreamer or living elsewhere in the world.
You can go to Amazon.com and
nice.
punch in my name, or go to provocativehypnosis.com and you can...
Provocativehypnosis.com.
Same place.
Gets really good reviews on Amazon, actually.
Yeah.
Are people provoked?
Some people are.
That's a good sign.
It's a good sign.
Actually, there's a warning on the back, I think.
A disclaimer on the back.
Disclaimer. By a medical doctor. He actually warns. If you're tender-hearted, don't read this.
We need to get a medical doctor to condone this show. I tried to get my sister, she's an MD, but she's like, oh, you need to stop this nonsense. And I'm like, but I love this. Look at my show, it's so great.
What's wrong with nonsense?
Right? Yeah. What's wrong with nonsense? We need a little nonsense. Like
Serious
we've been knee-deep in ridiculous nonsense for a while now.
Pretty sure your sister needs a lot more nonsense in her life.
Yes, I'm pretty sure as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell her.
I love my sister to death, yes. You need more nonsense.
Yeah.
I am here. I'm bringing the nonsense. Thank me later. We're at the end of the show, and what I typically like to do is I search the internet far and wide. Far and wide. It's mostly porn, but there are also quotes. And I found a quote that I think works really well with tonight's episode. And I want you, my dear guest, Or can you read it together? Is that fun?
Bring it to
I'll bring it to you. You'll read it.
We can read. We are literate. Yeah.
You're literate. I'll give you like this, and so I want you to read it into this camera by Markus over here. That one. And you can read it together. Like, put some feeling into it. Yeah. There we go.
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Yes.
The dead pedophile. And great artist, or was he a pedophile?
That is yet to be determined.
Yet to be determined.
I'm gonna get like, what's those people who can sort of channel dead people?
Yes.
And then we maybe can
but he may not have been, so it's kind of unfair.
Yeah, and at the same time,
I'm pretty sure he's dead, though.
He's very dead.
Yeah.
His physical body is.
And he was a great artist. He was a great artist.
And also like. That's somewhat of the human experience is there are good things and bad things.
Yes.
And they're very often mushed together.
You can still appreciate the music.
Yes, you can. And there was something about how you talked about people wanting to change and sort of, well, who can change it? Obviously you can facilitate.
Right.
But they have to make the change themselves. Like, you know, I make the WakeUp Show. But it is you, my dear guest, who has to wake up yourself to the great glory of being you. And having some great cacao by Criollo, obviously. that's what sort of makes the whole thing extra delicious and great. Well, yeah. And I guess it's been so great having you guys on the show. It's been so great having the show at Criollo.
Thanks for bringing all your studio in here. It's a pleasure.
Well, we go where the love is, you know, man. Yeah. And from the bottom of my heart, which is bottomless, by the way.
I thought so.
I love you, man.
Love you too.
And Jørgen, I love you too.
I'm Norwegian. I love my wife and kids. I freak out when dudes say that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Markus, I love you, man. And to all my wonderful viewers out there.
But I really have goodwill, though. I mean, I can, you know, it's
very lovable.
It's a sober Norwegian.
Yeah, it's very Norwegian. Once you start throwing the love word, it'll say, well, wait a minute. I'm not your wife or your kids. What's going on over here? What's going on over here? There's a lot of
relax,
to go
it's
around.
only words.
Yes, it's only words. It's only in the mic.
Okay, yeah.
Don't worry. To all my wonderful viewers, I love you guys. And my patrons, I love you. Obviously, unconditional love all around. I'm going to play a song on the guitar because that's how we end the show. Wasn't it put like the cup over here because I think I have the perfect song to end the show. Every show ends with a song, right? I think my show, like my live show, will end with that Life of Brian song because that's such a great song. I'm going to learn that song. But this song, I feel, works well with what we talked about today. It was a great conversation. And, you know, we shared it. That's pretty neat. Nice. And then tune in next week. I don't know which camera I'm looking at anymore. Tune in next week for another episode of the WakeUp Show. I guess I'm back in the basement, but then again, I got some air here at Criollo, and I'm forever thankful for that. When I was just a little boy, I asked my mother, what will life be? Will I be happy? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. When I was young, I fell in love. I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will we have rainbows day after day? Here's what my girlfriend said. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Now I have children of my own. 4, my God! They ask their father, what will life be? Will we be happy? Will we be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. What will be, will be.